Now, there's no doubt about it that a lot of Star Wars fans are now looking forward to the most anticipated Star Wars TV shows, which of course for this year is going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. Next year it's going to be the Ahsoka Tano TV show starring Rosario Dawson and Hayden Christensen. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and give me a follow on there. I do post a couple of entertaining things from time to time and really make sure to interact with you guys further. So the thing about both Kenobi and Ahsoka, alright, there's multiple reasons as to why these are the most anticipated TV shows and why these shows a lot of Star Wars fans are really looking forward to. Number one, it has to do with Jedi. Number two, it's very Force-focused. It has a lot to do with the cosmic Force and the general Force that's going to be explored in both of these TV shows. Number three, it's really going to involve a lot of Star Wars legends. So both Kenobi and Ahsoka is going to have a lot of Star Wars Legends material that's all sitting ready to be used for those two TV shows, and that I think is another reason to be very excited for them. So with that being said, everything related to Hayden Christensen, alright, so far so good. You know, he's got a lot of projects on his, line right now. He's got the Kenobi show, he's got Ahsoka, he's got another project that he's working on that's going to be voiceover work for an animated series. There's another mystery live-action TV series that he's actually working on. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. But the thing about actress Daisy Ridley is that she's been revealing more and more about her experience with these new Star Wars movies, of course, 7, 8, and 9, the ones that were recently made throughout the past couple of years. And when you look at everything related to how Kathleen Kennedy really let the fans down with those two, of course, aspects of the sequel trilogy of how, number one, it didn't pay attention to Luke Skywalker all that much, and number two, of course, we all have these problems with the lore within the sequel trilogy that was really out of place. So, with that being said, however, on top of all of this, when it comes to Daisy Ridley, with actress Daisy Ridley becoming more vocal about her experience with the sequel trilogy lately, it has given the fans a different view of how those films were made by Disney and Lucasfilm, and especially how so many scenes never made it to the final cut of the film. However, in a recent interview with Daisy Ridley, she went on to talk about something very important related to actor Hayden Christensen and his involvement with the sequel trilogy at the time back in early 2019 when filming was still underway. Now, Daisy Ridley went on to state and unveil, it was a terrifying experience at times, not knowing which of the scenes you worked so hard on would even make it to the final cut or not. And speaking about scenes that never made it, we had so much footage, I mean like an endless sea of footage for this movie. Both JJ and Chris went through so many alternatives, it actually got quite confusing. One thing that really made me very upset was how Anakin Skywalker was this close to becoming a big role in the movie. They actually had partially shot scenes with Hayden, who, by the way, is just a charming man and so down to earth. We have multiple scenes for Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost that was going to be so beautiful it would have really made the fans cry. I mean that when I say that. The scenes that they were testing with would have really made the fans so emotional. So let me just stop right there for 1 second of what Daisy Ridley is saying here, is that this really does connect to what we talked about last year of how there were numerous scenes that were actually being experimented with and partially filmed with, of course, Hayden as Anakin. And it really came to a very messy experience because that's where Kathleen Kennedy made a lot of changes. Right before, I would say, some of the reshoots were starting to happen, right around that time. I would say that was probably around, give or take, September of 2019. It's one of the main reasons as to why it took a while for the true marketing of the movie to begin and why we had that long gap, you guys may remember, where you were like, where is all the TV spots? Where is all the new footage? Where's the promo images? What's going on? That's why. There was a lot of reshoots, there was a lot of scenes being taken out of the movie, getting rearranged. It's why I believe that in the beginning, the first act, it felt very botched, it felt very out of place, and one great example is how the Mustafar sequence with Kylo Ren just cuts through it so quickly, and it actually cuts to that scene very quickly as well. So, with that being said, alright, she goes on to say that it was just so depressing to see such great talent go to waste for this movie. It was, of course, the creators at Lucasfilm, including Kathleen Kennedy, that eventually wanted nothing to do with Hayden's portrayal of Anakin, as they felt that it could very well serve as a risk of the film flopping and underperforming for the box office. It just never felt right to me how Kathleen Kennedy got rid of the Anakin concept at last minute and decided to go with what we had in the final version. I mean, we even had so much Palpatine footage that, to me, in my opinion, was absolutely crazy. Like, really. We had some pretty crazy scenes we filmed. But yeah, back to the Anakin thing, she says. It was such a letdown because I know so many fans adore this character and grew up with this character with the prequels, and it would have felt so right for the fandom. I mean, both JJ and Chris were so dedicated to his return, and Kathy Kennedy was just not enjoying it and had a big change of heart on Hayden's involvement. So, the thing about this that seems so very unfair, at least to me, when you look at this, you know, from a different perspective, you had Hayden working on this movie, you had a lot of his scenes that were actually partially shot, he thought he was going to be in the final cut of the film, and then out of nowhere, at the snap of a finger like that, everything changed. Basically, Kathleen Kennedy said, you know what, let's not do this, let's not involve Anakin, let's not, you know, create any kind of risk of the prequels, you know, pretty much repeating history again. And that's what she was afraid of. But I think it was more than that. I think that she literally has something against the Skywalker lineage. And there's a reason behind all of that that we are currently unaware of, but there's something there that she does not like about the Skywalkers. It's very hard to pinpoint of what's going on in Kathleen Kennedy's mind, but there's something there that makes her not want to actually dive into that legacy in great depth. And that is something that was just missing from the entirety of the sequel trilogy. There was something missing about that. And I think a lot of that had to do with the expectations, because the movie was called The Rise of Skywalker, and basically the title had nothing to do with the true Skywalkers at heart. So moving on from all of this, she goes on to say that, I mean, both JJ and Chris were so dedicated to his return and Hayden's involvement. I will say, however, that they took pieces of dialogue from one of his big scenes that he did and used that strictly for a Force Ghost voice speaking to my character. I just instantly knew fans would love that to begin with, but nothing near to seeing him on screen again for the first time since 2005 would have really shaken the theaters of cheers. Kathy Kennedy also believed that Anakin's return would have taken the attention away, not just from my character, but others such as Finn and Poe Dameron. This is why Kathy Kennedy wanted to stay away from the Skywalkers in order to make those characters grow and such. So, from one angle, you know, what Daisy says here is that that's one of the reasons, is that focusing on the Skywalkers would have taken the attention away from characters like Rey, Kylo, Finn, and Poe, as well as others like Jannah. I feel like that obviously when you look at these major Skywalker saga films, there's a reason why it's a part of the Skywalker saga. And I never understood why it was so hard to focus on these Skywalkers in episodes 7, 8, and 9. And I get it, Kylo Ren is a Skywalker at heart, he is. But at the end of the day, people want to see the true Skywalkers. They want to see Luke, they want to see Anakin, they want to see that side, even Leia at that, in her, you know, mighty glory in episode 7. They could have done a lot more, and they could have done a lot of what was actually being experimented with at the time back in 2014. There were so many great examples. So, overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.